You ever have one of those moments where you realize the folks in charge are making it up as they go? That's how it started. Right there by the pool, sun blazing, Linda Farnsworth standing over my pregnant wife, like she was the warden of some minimum security prison, whistles still echoing off the water. She needs to leave the pool right now. You know what I mean? My wife, Marissa, just froze, her hand on her belly, sunlight catching on the strap of her swimsuit, trying to breathe, while Linda starts spitting out rules about unapproved attire, tapping her clipboard, acting like it's a badge and not just some plastic shield she hides behind. Everybody else stops splashing, but they're all watching out of the corner of their eyes. I step in before Linda can spit out another sentence. You're enforcing a rule that doesn't exist, I tell her, voice low, not loud, but sharp enough to cut the air. And man, the way she smiled, like she's the only one in on some private joke. Sir, I wrote the handbook. I think I know what's in it. Funny, because what she doesn't know is I've written manuals thicker than that thing. Real rules, real compliance. Not the junk she scribbled after too many HOA meetings. What Linda really didn't know. I spot a lie in paperwork faster than most people spot a typo in a tweet. So if you've ever watched an HOA official realize they're picking a fight with the wrong person, buckle up. I'm Daniel Mercer, 34, engineer, compliance nerd, the guy who signs off on the same certifications these HOAs are supposed to maintain. I don't bluff when it comes to rules, I build them. And here I am, watching this lady weaponize bureaucracy just because my wife had the wrong swimsuit. Marissa's hand trembled, 7 months along, our first baby after years of trying. Doctors said swimming would help her swelling, help her breathe, but Linda didn't care about health. She wanted control. That's the thing with people like her. They think a process is the same as having power. But this wasn't a boardroom. This was my wife, being humiliated. Linda's voice got louder, threatening to ban Marissa for the season. I stepped in, wrapped the towel around Marissa, got her out of there, even as she begged me. Danny, just let it go. But you can't let it go when you see that look, smug, victorious, like she just checked off another name. The moment we hit the parking lot, I checked the HOA app. No dress code, not a single rule about pool attire. This wasn't enforcement. This was harassment. Fake rules, fake power, real pain. In my world, that's fraud. I watched Linda by the gate, still bragging to her sidekick about order. Even as I walked away, the smell of chlorine stung my nose, and maybe that's what made me pause. Or maybe it was habit, because as an engineer, you notice the little stuff, like how the water had that cloudy look, the kind you see when the filters fail and the germs start to multiply. My anger? It wasn't just about humiliation, it was about safety. I'd signed off on pools like this for years. That one, no chance. That night, as Marissa's contractions started, stress, they called it. I sat beside her, holding her hand, listening to the beeps of the fetal monitor, promising her I wouldn't fight. But you can't just sit back. When a woman with power humiliates a mother for no reason, then let's safety slide for everyone else. That's not just petty, that's dangerous. By morning, the whole pool fiasco was the neighborhood's main event. The community forum, usually reserved for grass complaints, exploded with hot takes and a memo from Linda. Proper swimwear required. Funny thing, no such rule exists. I checked twice. No mention of clothing, not in any bylaw, not in any amendment. And the stress? That wasn't random. Someone caused it. I started digging like an inspector, because that's what I am. The HOA's rulebook was a hack job, copy-pasted from generic county codes, sloppily edited by, Linda. She rewrote policy from her living room, not through a vote or a committee. Pure fabrication. Out the window, I watched the sprinklers hit the same perfect hedges, but perfection just hides rot. I started drafting notes. Pool water's cloudy. No county certification posted. Possible health risk. Then the real twist hit. An official HOA notice taped to my door. Any further interference will result in disciplinary review. No apology, just more threats. That's when I knew. This was war. Bureaucratic style. But intimidation only works on people who stay quiet. I pulled up the county records. Last certified inspection was 26 months ago. Permit expired. Under state law, that pool should have been closed. I took screenshots, time-stamped everything. The next day, I went back to the pool, not to swim, but to look for what they were hiding. The air reeked of overchlorination, too strong, like someone was trying to cover something up. Ray Collins, the maintenance guy, was fiddling with the pumps, his hands shaking. "Filters giving you trouble?" I asked, and he practically jumped out of his skin. Turns out, Ray's been there 8 years, but since Linda took over, it's all about image, less maintenance, more landscaping. You can't see the rust if the flowers look good. He confessed the filters hadn't been replaced in 18 months. She told him not to post new inspection dates, didn't want to confuse people. He wasn't my enemy, just a guy trapped by a paycheck. But he knew it was wrong. Kids swim there every day. My wife, pregnant. If something happened, the blame would fall on all of us. Linda tried to isolate me, call me to the office, accused me of interfering with staff. She slid a conduct violation across the desk, filled with trumped-up language, no evidence, just her word, official-looking font. I told her, "You're in violation of state property law. You can't enforce policies that weren't voted on or filed with the county." She flinched, just a flicker, but her mask held. Back home, I filed a citizen inquiry with the county, submitted evidence, and waited. When the inspectors showed up, the game changed. They tested the water, found the records had been falsified, identical chemical readings, month after month, impossible for any real system. Ray gave them backup files, real ones, with all the failures and missed maintenance. Suddenly, Linda's power wasn't worth the paper her threats were printed on. Some angry, some relieved. Ray backed up everything, his voice shaky but firm. The inspector declared, permit suspended, financial audit, possible criminal review. Linda stood up, shouting about witch hunts and her 10 years of service. But nobody listened, not anymore. Her empire of fear collapsed. The gates she once used to shut out families now locked against her. Residents started to thank me, not for winning, but for refusing to back down. In the end, the city took over. Ray got a job as site supervisor, working for folks who actually care about safety. The neighborhood got its pull back, real repairs, real inspections. The fear faded, replaced by something like pride. Linda? She disappeared, house sold, name erased, just a cautionary tale. So do I regret it? Things safer for the next family, the next kid, the next quiet voice ready to speak up. So let's hear it. Your turn. Ever stood up to a bully in power? Drop your story below. Let's keep the board went up on that pool fence. Life would snap back to normal. But let me tell you, a place like Cypress Hollow doesn't just change overnight. It sort of learns to breathe again, slow and careful. Like someone waking up after a long, uneasy sleep. I started noticing the little things first. Neighbors actually making eye contact when they passed our yard, nodding, some even stopping to chat. Cautiously at first, then warming up once they realized nobody was keeping a secret file on them anymore. You could feel it, the neighborhood unclenching for the first time in years. Even Marissa said it. She could finally take a walk without checking over her shoulder for a clipboard. But old habits die hard. A week after the hearing, I got an envelope in the mail. No return address, just my name in tight handwriting. Inside was a typed note. No signature, just, thank you for speaking up. We never could. It hit me. How many folks here had spent years scared to challenge a bogus rule, terrified their flowers were the wrong shade of red, or their fence a half-inch too high. I realized it wasn't about pools or paperwork. It was about people learning they deserve to feel safe in their own homes. Ray stopped by one afternoon, still in his city contractor's shirt, looking lighter than I'd ever seen him. They got me doing safety trainings now. He grinned, holding out a box of donuts. Can you believe that? Me, teaching the county boys how to spot a fake maintenance log. I just laughed and told him, if you ever get tired of paperwork, I've got a spot at my firm for you. He just shook his head, sipping coffee on my porch, both of us listening to the quiet hum of lawn mowers and not a single whistle or shouted order in earshot. Linda's old house sat empty for a month, grass growing a little wild, blinds drawn tight. Word around was she'd moved out overnight, skipped town to avoid the county auditor. The rumor mill had a field day. Maybe she was in Florida, maybe she changed her name, maybe she'd try to run another HOA somewhere new. But nobody seemed scared of her ghost. If anything, her absence became a punchline at block parties. At least Linda's not in charge of the grill. Then one Friday, The new interim board called a community meeting. This time, it wasn't about fines or enforcement, just an open invite. What do you want this neighborhood to be? It was awkward at first. Folks used to keeping quiet don't just blurt out their opinions. But one by one, people started speaking up. Parents asked for more playground equipment. Seniors wanted the sidewalks cleared better after storms. Someone, honest to God, suggested a chili cook-off to celebrate the pool reopening. You could almost see the wait. Desk. Turns out, most folks agreed. And then, not even a week later, we had the first storm of the season. The kind that rattles the windows and soaks the playground in mud. Saturday morning. I'm out there in my boots, clearing branches, when I see Marissa, 9 months now, out for a slow walk, hand on her belly, smiling like someone who finally feels at home. Down by the pool. Kids are peeking through the new safety fence, watching the county crews replace one last broken filter. Ray catches my eye and gives a thumbs up. That afternoon, there's a knock at the door. Resident to help. I flip through the pages. Plain language, clear processes, none of Linda's loopholes or legalese. It actually feels like a contract between neighbors, not a threat letter in. Wide-eyed little thing. First day home, we take her for a walk around the block. People stop us, wave, say hello by name, not just with a nod and a nervous glance. There's a new mural on the side of the clubhouse, painted by some high schoolers, big bright colors, kids and dogs, and a blue pool that actually looks inviting. Some evenings, I still walk down by that pool, just to watch the water shimmer under the new floodlights, city inspected, county certified, every filter checked and double-checked. Sometimes I sit on the bench, feeling the cool breeze, thinking about how close we came to letting silence win. Sometimes I think about Linda, wherever she is, probably looking for another rulebook to hide behind. And every time, I remind myself, all it takes to break the cycle is for someone to say, show me the proof. We're not perfect here. There'll always be a new problem, a new personality hungry for control. But I figure, as long as enough folks remember what happened, as long as somebody's willing to stand up and ask hard questions, this place has a shot at being better than before. So if you've ever been the only voice in the room, or felt outnumbered by folks, let's keep the stories going. Drop your own HOA horror tales, neighborhood dramas, or moments of small-town justice in the comments. Because when we share, we remind each other that silence isn't safety. It's just the first thing that needs to go.